this episode of Corey Learnings. Justin, so how we doing today? One day out from the DoorDash IPO. What we thinking?
I'm so pumped and just living the dream here, which roughly translates to kill me now with my work life right now. But no,
We don't care about your
DoorDash,
work life. We care about what you think about DoorDash.
DoorDash, yeah, I'm pumped to this, just as pumped as I am for the Airbnb IPO tomorrow. Yeah, it's a big one for sure to watch out for.
Yeah, bigly week for IPOs for sure. You got DoorDash going probably out overvalued tomorrow, and you've got Airbnb going out. We'll see, to be determined on overvalued on that. The thing that I think is most curious about this company, though, is it's not the first, I don't know if it was the first, it's definitely not the only food delivery service in town. You know, you got Uber Eats, who went and bought Postmates, and you had Grubhub sell itself basically to its European, I don't know if you would call it a competitor because Grubhub was local, but DoorDash is actually the market share leader, and they just decided that they wanted to go public all on their own. The thing I think is still the most interesting is that even though they have almost 400,000 merchants on the platform and one of the biggest beneficiaries of the pandemic in a business sense, because nobody's a beneficiary on a human sense, that they still lose money. It just blows my mind. How do you become this is the most favorable business environment they could ever have of they're allowed to have gig workers, that they had unforeseen massive demand and growth, and they still lost 195 million.
Yeah, I wish I was a business major because I don't understand this at all. Like, I mean, I know I can kind of see.
Well, no one does, or
Uber
it'd be
and all them
priced
do.
effectively, or they don't care, I guess is a better thing.
Yeah, I guess they're just generating jobs and providing a service that people need, so they're still valued. It blows my mind.
I mean, do we think this is going to act like a Tesla and just get, or I don't want to say like a Ford? Let's talk some comparable names. So Nikola's a great comparison in terms of huge popularity amongst millennials, Gen Z investors, and then just gets bid up and up and up and up and then crashes back down. I'm not suggesting that DoorDash has fraud like Nikola did, but not at all. No, not at all. It's just more the fact that, could we potentially see this thing the stock price take off like a rocket ship and just balloon into a valuation that it can't ever grow into because it's not even profitable?
I don't know. I want to compare it more to like Rocket Mortgage or Rocket Companies, where it's super popular, maybe a little over popular than Rocket. And it, it'll come back down. Maybe like Snowflake might be the better comparison, at least for how it acts. I mean, obviously it's not as big at a starting point, but just I think similarities of the popularity and the rise behind it, and then it kind of settles back in, and then it'll act like it's supposed to. But I hope it's not like a Nikola. I mean, that was way too insane and too volatile to have any trust in. I feel like DoorDash is a little more reputable, like Uber is.
Yeah. I'm not meaning in terms of. So I guess Uber is a good example. So Uber is seen as almost a utility. Do we think that food delivery is going to be seen as a utility once everybody gets shots in the arm and we kind of get back to the normal world?
Yeah, for at least the next 7 or 8 months, it's still going to be utility. Yeah, after that, I think it's going to be a normality. I mean, it kind of already was even before the pandemic. I don't personally use that kind of service that much, but I know just from pure laziness or just time saving, it is something that people have been using and probably will continue to use as
we also live
gotten used to that normal.
We live in a city where you can drive and park places, though.
Exactly.
It's different for people that live in Bay Area, Chicago, New York. You name it.
Yeah, and especially in tech, they're working weird hours, through dinner, lunch, whatever, and they use the service and they have promotions all the time that kind of benefits them. So I think it's somewhere in between, but more so as a service, not quite as much as Uber, but something that people have gotten used to.
Well, what I think is most interesting. So Uber Eats was seen as potentially having to be spun off and sold from Uber before COVID hit. And then COVID hit and it became the saving grace for
Yeah.
Uber, as they saw rides plummet and food deliveries shoot up. So, I mean, are we looking at a return to that, to where suddenly food delivery, the frothiness of food delivery is not nearly as prevalent because people can actually go and sit in restaurants without eye goggles on and not have to worry about anything, and they don't want to order something soggy and styrofoam, let alone the restaurants hate using these services because DoorDash alone can charge up to 30% on an order of a fee, as well as then charging you, the consumer, another fee to have it delivered to you. um,
Yeah, it's a luxury. I don't know. People don't care in general that they're using this consistently. I think um, it's not something that's necessary for anybody. It's just, hey, it's I don't have to leave my house. I can just sit here and maybe be intoxicated, or especially as the as the weed industry grows. I mean, that might be another reason to be using this, and they might benefit from that as well.
Yeah, benefit, but we want to think on like a macro level. So that's where it boils down back into you have the most favorable business environment in terms of stock market. You have the restaurants that have to use your service, and the drivers are on a pay scale that is beneficiary to the platform, and you have unprecedented demand. How does it get better? How does it get better than this? Oh, and when does one of those things in the business model break? At some point?
Right. This has got to
Yeah,
be the peak.
yeah, and that's where I come down on it too. Whereas I think we look back and we're gonna see a reversion back to what Uber Eats and these platforms look like of before the pandemic. This may take 2+ years to get to it, but it's like, oh yeah, by the way, these actually still haven't made any money. Why are we paying this
Right.
much for it? It's like, so I don't know. You also, it's a race to the bottom on price. If somebody's running a promo, the other's going to have to run a promo on a specific restaurant. So unless you start seeing these these platforms like doing what Spotify has been doing with podcasters and content, and acquiring and going exclusive, like with Rogan with Spotify, and walling off their stuff. And what I mean, the correlation I mean is, okay, not Amazon. Amazon might get into food delivery other than just what they're doing with Whole Foods, but so McDonald's, Burger King, and Starbucks are only on DoorDash. You can't get it through Postmates. You can't get it through Grubhub. You can't get it through Uber Eats. Is that where you have to go? And you start, and that requires the platforms to pay these huge, big licensing fees. I don't know, in terms of keeping stable demand, or do you have to even charge your user base even more to make money in the future?
No, I think you bring up a good point. This is one of those that I'm kind of watching, but probably staying away from in the long term at least. Maybe the next couple of months it's gonna fly up and down. But I think you're right. I think I don't know if it's sustainable long term unless they really have an aggressive business model and then everyone else buys into it and becomes the norm. But I personally, just because I don't use this stuff, I will make an excuse to go out normally, to leave my house for 10 minutes, to do the grocery shop here and go to a restaurant, pick up to go food or whatever. I I don't have trust or belief in it, and from a long term standpoint, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat there. I think to get profitable, they're going to either have to raise prices, they're going to have to look for an expansion into a more profitable category and rely on their scale and size and brand name and recognition to become profitable that way. I don't know what that is. You already have food delivery platforms that deliver other items. So, what does that mean? Uh, I guess we don't have to figure that out. We aren't execs at DoorDash, so.
I would say thank God, but I think they're doing okay right now.
Yeah, they'll be just fine as of tomorrow or whenever their lockup period is.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, we'll see how DoorDash's IPO goes. And I think we'll, like Airbnb and like all these other recent IPOs. I don't think this is going to be the last time we talk about them. I think we'll be covering them as we go forward.
I think so.
For sure. All right, everybody, thanks. Like, rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends. We'll see you next time.